This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
What now? What now? As Butch asked Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction, what now? Oh, not that what now. What now for Donald Trump? Obviously, he will be taking office in 74 days. And he has a lot to do, a lot to get to. He has a long to-do list. But I want to start with this call for unity. Unity. You know what he has to do now? You know what the first thing Donald Trump has to do? Forget unity. This is not about unity. You want unity? 8 years ago, the first time Donald Trump was elected president, he carried on a tradition, or Obama did. He met with Barack Obama in the White House. They shook hands. There were cameras everywhere. They exchanged niceties. And at that very moment, Barack Obama, along with his vice president, Joe Biden, was trying to undermine the incoming administration. In fact, they started before he took office. They spied on his campaign, as we know. They cooked up the phony Russia hoax. So they were busy trying to destroy the first Trump administration before it took office. He's going to do the same thing soon. Sit down with Joe Biden in the White House. They're going to shake hands. The cameras are going to be everywhere. And Joe Biden is going to do what Barack Obama did. He's going to lie to the country. He's going to say, we wish him well. We're going to do everything we can to make this a successful transition. He's lying. They're lying. Just like Obama, Joe Biden is not going to do everything he can to make it a successful transition. I got a question. How do you unify with the people who did what they did to Donald Trump for the last 4 years? Just a quick review. I mean, we've all lived through it. We've been talking about it for 4 years. They did everything they could to stop the man. 91 felony counts, 2 phony impeachments, including one after he left office, 34 felony convictions in one case, a complete joke, a travesty in New York City, a $450 million fine. They raided his home. The FBI went through Melania Trump's underwear drawer. 2 assassination attempts so far, endless hoaxes and lies, beginning the day he left office. They made a concerted effort, coordinating with the media, to stop Trump from ever returning to the White House. Joe Biden said it in November of 2022. He said, we have to do everything we can within the Constitution to make sure he never takes office again. And they did. They tried. They tried everything they could. They tried indictments, arrests. They tried to bankrupt him. They sued him. They tried to get him kicked off the ballot. They lied to you about everything. The fine people hoax. It began with the Russia hoax. The country was dragged through this phony Russia hoax for 2 years, trying to convince you that Donald Trump was a puppet of Vladimir Putin, a complete lie cooked up by the Clinton campaign and the DNC. What else? The fine people hoax, which has been debunked 1,000 times, that he called white supremacists fine people. It's on tape. We've seen it. And yet, a week ago, Barack Obama took the stage at a rally for Kamala Harris and said Donald Trump called white supremacists very fine people. Until the end of this endless campaign, they were lying, smearing, pushing hoaxes. The suckers and losers hoax, the drinking bleach hoax, the bloodbath hoax, and of course, the latest, the Liz Cheney hoax. He wants to put Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. Again, I ask, how do you unify with people like that? What makes you think they're going to stop now? I'll answer that. They're not. They are not going to stop. They have 74 days to make Trump's life more difficult, and they will use it. They will do everything in their power to stop him. Once again, he's Hitler. He's a fascist. He's a threat to democracy. And you think they're going to unify? You think Joe Biden is going to do everything in his power to make life less difficult for the Trump administration? So first thing, he has to understand, which he didn't last time. He has to understand what he's up against. Now, I have some confidence that he will be less naive this time. He will go in there with his eyes wide open. Don't forget, when they asked him if he wanted to be briefed by the FBI, by the intelligence community during the campaign, which is a tradition, he said no, because he knew they were going to try to set him up. They were going to try to get him to say something that they could use against him, because once again, they were working for the opposition. In this instance, they were working for the Kamala Harris campaign, and he knew it. So he said, politely declined. No, thanks. I'm good. I don't need that. He has an agenda. We know that. We know what he wants to do. He has to just move forward with the agenda and not trust anybody. He has a great team around him, a good circle of advisors and allies. He can, I think, he can trust them. He should keep a tight inner circle. He should not, this is number two. Number one, don't trust Biden. Don't trust any Democrat. Don't trust the media. That's number two. One of Trump's flaws, the first time around, one of Trump's flaws, for the last 50 years has been his neediness with the media, his desire to get the people in the mainstream media to like him. He had lunch many times with Maggie Haberman from the New York Times. He wants somehow he thinks he can win them over. I pray he has awoken, that he understands that Maggie Haberman is not his friend, that he doesn't need the New York Times. He sat down with Bob Woodward for 15 hours of interviews. Please, Donald, please, Mr. President-elect, never, ever do that again. Please, you've been through this. You know they don't have your best interest in mind. They don't want to help you. They want to destroy you. That's number two. He must understand that they are the enemy. I hope he does. I think he must. At this point, he must know the media does not want to work with him, does not want to unify. So number two, don't even work with them. Don't respect them. Don't give them anything. Here's the beauty of Donald Trump's second term. It's much different than his first term. First of all, he's a one-termer. He doesn't have to run for re-election ever again. He doesn't have to face the voters ever again. For that reason, he can tell the media to screw at every turn. He doesn't need them. There's no thought that he might want them to help in a re-election campaign. Number two, he has the Senate, and I hope he has the House. So they can't impeach him. They can't run one of these phony impeachment trials in the House, whether the Senate impeaches him or not. They can't convict him in the House again. If they had won the House, if they win the House, I guess it's still not determined. It looks good. But the first thing they would do, Hakeem Jeffries, number one on his agenda, would be impeach Trump. For what? Doesn't matter. It never mattered. They would come up with something and they would impeach him. So that helps. He does not have to worry about impeachment. He doesn't have to worry about the DOJ anymore, because on day one, he cleans house. He doesn't have to worry, I don't think, about the FBI. Day one, here's my first thing on his to-do list: fire Christopher Wray. Obviously, all the cabinet officials, Mayorkas and Mayor Pete, they're out. We know that. But he promoted Christopher Wray last time day one, minute one, as soon as he takes the oath of office, just send a text. Christopher Wray, you are fired. So if he cleans house at the DOJ and the FBI, he doesn't have to worry about another phony investigation. He doesn't have to worry about Jack Smith, who's going to step down any day now, who's going to quit, who's going to drop the case against him. That is a wonderful thing. This is Donald Trump unshackled. This is a guy who can indeed do what he promises to do. Last time was tough. He had the Russia hoax, around his neck like a friggin' anvil. That's over. No more Russia hoax. That is his priority. Just do what you say you're going to do. I think number 3. Here's the thing that I think the country could rally around. At least half the country. Make sure that Elon Musk has a specific job. Musk should be out front. He doesn't have to be in the cabinet. He doesn't want to be in the cabinet. Get to work. Musk has to identify places and things he will cut, changes he will make. He is the most respected businessman in the country, the smartest man, the richest man, the greatest innovator. People look to him and they say, he doesn't have an agenda. He's not one of these hacks. He doesn't need the job. He doesn't need the money. Let him loose. Let him tell us. Open the books. Open source the whole process. Here it is. Here's the waste in the bureaucracy, and here's how we're going to fix it. He cut at least 80% of the staff at Twitter when he bought it. Has anyone noticed a difference? Oh, I have. It's gotten better. Twitter works better after he sliced and diced and dumped 80% of the people who worked at the company. Obviously, he has to make clear on day one that he's going to close the border. Executive orders, tell us what they are. I assume they're going to be the ones he implemented on day one the first time. But day one, he can indeed close the border, indeed stop the invasion. That's something the whole country can stand and applaud and appreciate. They gave him a mandate. We gave him a mandate. It's the definition of a mandate. And he's going to face resistance, obviously, from the media. Ignore them. From the deep state, fire them. Fire them. Clean them out. That's the solution. Do not play along. Do not trust them. Do not believe them. They hate you now more than ever. They did more than they ever did before to stop you. They are out of ways to stop you. They have no more. They have no more indictments, no more arrests. They have no more lawsuits, no more phony rape cases, which was perhaps the most ridiculous attempt of them all to stop them. That crazy E. Jean Carroll making up a story about how Trump raped her in a dressing room. The media ran with it, of course. They don't care. They did the same thing to Brett Kavanaugh. They knew it wasn't true. They don't care. They didn't care. They won't care. They will do everything they can to stop you. I just watched CNN this morning. Jim Acosta, he had a bunch of Latino voters who supported Trump. What was he saying? Are you going to support camps for illegal aliens? Are you going to support mass deportation? Here's what they should have said. Yes. Yes. One guy had a great answer. He said, Jim, we already have camps. That's what we do when they cross illegally. That's what Obama did. That's what Biden did with some illegal aliens. But the answer is simple. Are we going to have mass deportation? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to start with the criminals. We're going to start with the gang members. They're out. Day one. Pack your stuff. You're out. That's what the country wants to hear. That's why they voted for him. The numbers, we went over some of these yesterday. They are just staggering. The numbers for Trump right now, when you're looking at they still have him at 295 electoral votes. I believe that's going to go to 312 any minute now. It is a landslide. He won the popular vote, which, by the way, disarms them, just diffuses the whole electoral college debate. Doesn't matter. He won the popular vote. He won the electoral college. He won everything. There wasn't one county in which Kamala Harris improved the performance of Joe Biden. Here's another thing Trump did, or this election did. It showed that 2020 was rigged. Yes, no one can explain. I've been looking for an explanation. She has right now 68 million votes. Barack Obama had 65 million votes. Hillary Clinton had 66, I believe. Joe Biden had 81. 81. So there's 15 right now, 13 million votes that Joe Biden got that Kamala Harris did not. Where'd they come from? How did that happen? Nobody can tell us how Joe Biden outperformed Obama, Clinton, Harris by a huge number. You know what the explanation is? He didn't. So Trump was right about that too. Trump was right about most things, and he has to be fearless. I think he will. I think he's smart. I think he knows what they did to him over the last 8 years, and I think he will do everything he can to make sure it doesn't happen again. Here's just a few of the gains he made from 2020 to 2024. Donald Trump, women up 2. Yes, women. Men up 3. Hispanics up 6. Black voters up 7. Young voters, 18 to 24, plus 10. Donald Trump is plus 10 in 4 years. So they installed a younger woman of color and told you she was represented a new generation of leadership. He beat her by 10 among young voters. And perhaps my favorite metric, check this out. This is Trump's gain from 2020 to 2024, state by state. You want to guess how many states he lost support? He lost votes? There it is. 1. 50 states. He lost support in 1. After that list I just read you, after the 91 indictments, the 34 felony convictions, the 2 impeachments, the endless hoaxes, the FBI raid, the campaign of calling him a fascist and a Nazi, he lost support in 1 state, Washington State, and that was 0.3%. He lost by 19.2 in 2020. He lost by 19.5 this time in Washington State. In every other state, he gained support across the country. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say the lawfare campaign, the media coordinated smear campaigns, the hoaxes, the lies, it didn't work. The people supported Hitler in every minority group. He went up among Jewish voters, Black voters, Hispanic voters, women. He went up in every demographic after months of calling him Hitler and a threat to democracy. This is the greatest fail by the mainstream media, which is now insignificant. It was a big loss for Democrats, a big loss for Kamala Harris, a huge loss for Barack Obama, who finally is out of power after 12 years, 16 years. He's out. He's irrelevant. But it was an even bigger loss, which is why we have to celebrate. And you should everybody should just feel great. You should feel good. You should have a bounce in your step, because we won and they lost, and nobody believes the mainstream media again. Nobody is going to fall for their lies. Nobody is going to listen to them ever again. Next election, no one's going to listen to David Muir or Nora O'Donnell or Jim Acosta or Rachel Maddow, New York Times, Washington Post. You are dead. You are buried, and it's glorious. All right, we'll get to some of the examples of the media meltdown. God, I'm enjoying the hell out of this. I just get up in the morning and just get online and just laugh out loud. We have the best one yet. And I'll just tell you who it's from. Jimmy Kimmel, the pathetic, empty shell of a man, this embarrassment, this squish. We'll show you his reaction, and Colbert's, by the way, and some of the other assessments, some of the other autopsies on the election from our esteemed mainstream media. Oh, The View, too. We have some from The View. God, these people are just pathetic. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
All right, small business owners, listen up. If you're tired of losing money to credit card processing fees, we've got something you need to hear. With 24/7 payments, you can eliminate up to 99% of those fees thanks to their fee elimination program. Here's how it works. You pass the processing fees on to customers who pay with credit cards, and in return, you can offer them a discount for paying with cash or debit. It's a simple, effective, and fully compliant way to save thousands every month. Right now, 24/7 Payments is switching over 250 businesses every month to this program, and they can have you set up in less than 24 hours. Call 855-504-0799 today or visit them on the web at 247payments.com. That's the numbers 247payments.com. Well, Kamala Harris gave her concession speech. Finally, took her long enough yesterday. She was 25 minutes late. She spoke for 12 minutes, and is exactly what you'd expect. She said, "You don't see the stars until it's dark." She went full fortune cookie on her last public appearance, and I heard some people afterwards saying she might run again in 4 years. No, she won't. They will never allow her anywhere near the presidential campaign again. She is done, and it's a great thing. We are done with Kamala Harris. We are done with Tim Walz, that pathetic, creepy weirdo. We are done with Doug Emhoff. Maybe now we can find out all the details about Dougie and the nanny, because he's no longer useful to the media. He's no longer useful to the Obama cabal. But it was fine. She spoke. Dougie cried. Tim Walz cried, of course. And then there was Jimmy Kimmel. Last night, if you didn't stay up, then why would you? If you didn't watch, I guess some people want to watch just to see how this absolute pathetic, sad, sorry excuse for a comedian who used to host the Man Show, who used to be just adored by young men. Now he is just beclowns himself. He didn't make any jokes. No, I wouldn't want to do that. Wouldn't want a late night comedian looking to make jokes. You know who's the biggest recipient of the downfall of these clowns is Greg Gutfeld. He comes on every night and just makes jokes and has fun and has laughs. And Jimmy Kimmel, on the other hand, he comes on and cries. Watch this.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine.
He's crying about Ukraine.
The truth and democracy and decency. And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
He's crying. He's getting choked up, crying because his candidate lost. Because Donald Trump, who was a very good president, is going to return to the White House. You know, Trump got a lot of grief when he said he's going to protect women, whether they like it or not. This is who he was talking about. He's going to protect you, Jimmy, whether you like it or not. He's going to bring down inflation, whether you like it or not. He's going to stop the invasion over the southern border and stop crime in the streets for you, whether you like it or not. I know these guys have like teams of staffs of like 1,000 guys, writers, women. Do they think that is a good idea? Here's what you got to do, Jimmy. You got to go on and whine and cry, literally cry. I mean, I would have been upset if Kamala Harris won. It would have been devastating for the country. I don't think I would have cried. Maybe I would have. You know what he didn't mention? He said terrible night for women and children and immigrants and science and journalism and free speech. Excuse me, Jim. Quick question. How is it a terrible night for free speech? How? We just elected Trump and Elon Musk and Robert Kennedy Jr., the most censored guy in America, under your guy. We just voted against censorship. How was that a terrible night for free speech? But what was missing from that? He never mentioned how it will affect people on the Epstein client list. He never mentioned how it will affect people on the Diddy party list. I wonder why. Just left that out. That's another promise. Elon Musk said it. We're going to release the files. Here's the beauty of Musk. When he bought Twitter, first thing he did was the Twitter files. He let journalists, Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger, just have free reign, go through the files. They exposed the collusion between the federal government, between the FBI and Twitter to suppress speech they didn't like, to work with the Biden regime to stop people from expressing their First Amendment rights. That's what he did. So he's going to do it again with the federal government, and it's going to be glorious. We're going to see, I think, the Epstein client list. That's going to be a big day. There's going to be some famous names on there. I wonder if there'll be any late night talk show hosts on there. I wonder. Probably not. But if you didn't think that was bad enough, we have Stephen Colbert, once again, a former comedian, a guy who used to, I don't know, say funny things. Now he's so consumed with hate for Trump that he just comes on like Rachel Maddow every night and just rants, lies about Trump. I mean, these people are on the verge of just breakdowns, like mental, emotional breakdowns, because their candidate didn't win. And their audience is full of like-minded losers who just can't handle it. You've seen the videos and the libs of TikTok videos of all the libs crying and just breaking down and losing it. They're no different. Colbert, Kimmel, Fallon, these guys, Seth Meyers, they're the same. Their life has been destroyed because their candidate lost. Let's watch Colbert from last night.
Duh. And in this democracy, the majority has spoken, and they said they don't care that much about democracy. And I want to take a moment to congratulate Kamala Harris and Tim Walz on running an amazing 107-day campaign. No, come on. That was extraordinary. Right out of the gate. They hit it right out of the gate. First, I hope they stay in touch. I know they're really good at texting.
That's a joke, I guess. I mean, I know the laughter's fake. He just congratulated Kamala Harris for an extraordinary campaign. And Tim Walz, by what definition would that be an extraordinary campaign? I mean, they didn't just lose. They lost in a landslide. They didn't just lose. They lost every demographic. They lost, essentially, support among every Black, Hispanic, Jewish, North, well, not New England, but everywhere else in the country. They got shellacked. She lost the Senate. She lost young voters, a Democrat, against a 78-year-old who's the pro-life candidate. They lost among 18 to 24-year-olds. He couldn't have been a worse campaign. And by the way, 107 days, that's one of the reasons it was so bad. She didn't win a primary. She didn't do an interview for the first month. She still hasn't done a press conference. She still hasn't faced really any tough questions. She spent 22 minutes with Bret Baier, but she still has never explained her role in the coup. She still has not explained what she really feels about late-term abortion. She still hasn't been asked about her job at McDonald's. She never really faced a tough question. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe people knew that she was a fake, phony, contrived candidate. Maybe people, when they got to know her a little bit, realized she's a moron. That could be part of it. Maybe when people got to know Tim Walz, they said, that freak can't be anywhere near the White House. An extraordinary campaign. If you thought that was bad, you knew, if I made my list of people who are totally consumed with hatred for Trump. Totally. Just terminal case of Trump derangement syndrome. I'd put Kimmel number one, Colbert be the top. Joy Reid. Now, we knew she would struggle with this outcome. We knew she would lose it. You know how sometimes you get really angry and you say things you regret, and afterwards you say, damn, I shouldn't have said that or done that. I was just so mad. I couldn't control myself. That's how Joy Reid lives her life. Joy Reid's life is one big temper tantrum. And you knew this was going to push her over the edge, even more over the edge than she normally is. And she blamed it on white people and said it was racist and said the country's not ready, for a woman of color, even though Barack Obama, who, if he were white, would have never even run for president, who won twice because people wanted an African-American president. They elected him and in big numbers, and they still love him, which is amazing. But here's Joy Reid assessing the failed Harris-Walz campaign. Watch this.
And I think it's important to say that, anyone who has experienced or been in the United States for any period of time and experienced this country's history and knows it cannot have believed that it would be easy to elect a woman president, let alone a woman of color. Mm-hmm. Let's just be clear. Mm-hmm. And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. She had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Taylor Swift, she had the Swifties, she had the Beehive. Like, you could not have run a better campaign in that short period of time. And I think that's still true.
Whoa. So a political analyst, an expert on NBC says Kamala Harris ran a flawless campaign. And her evidence, she was endorsed by Queen Latifah. It's hard to believe that's real. This is just a bitter, angry woman just throwing a tantrum. A flawless campaign? I'm sorry. We turn to you for analysis. You're an expert. And you think the woman who just got shellacked by Donald Trump, a guy, with 34 felony convictions, that guy beat her. And you think she was flawless because of Queen Latifah? So here's the other glorious part of this result is not only is the mainstream media dead as we knew it, and that's just a fact. They will never recover from this. I mean, they'll be around. David Muir will be continuing to do the fake voice, and Nora O'Donnell will still have her 4 hairdressers, and these frauds, every one of them will still be making millions, but nobody's going to take them seriously. Here's number 2 on that list: Hollywood. Hollywood was, I'd say 99% behind Kamala. They hate Trump like the media does. Is anyone going to listen to them anymore? Is the celebrity endorsement thing really going to matter anymore? Queen Latifah, Taylor Swift, Bruce Springsteen, Beyonce. That was her answer. Trump brought up, Patty Marin, the mother of Rachel Marin. Trump campaigned with Alexis Nungaray, the mother of Jocelyn Nungaray, the 12-year-old who was murdered by 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela. That was effective. That was powerful. They brought up Queen Latifah. They paid Beyonce like $10 million. By the way, they spent $1 billion, the Harris campaign. They're in debt, $20 million. They're begging for people to pay off their debt. They spent $1 billion on that disastrous campaign. And all they have to show for it is Queen Latifah and Taylor Swift. That's not going to matter next time. People aren't going to say, hey, we got Beyonce, we got Mark Ruffalo. We're going to do a town hall with Oprah and Julia Roberts. That'll work. Everything they did failed. Their campaign to shame people, to tell wives, to lie to their husbands, to tell men to lie to their friends. It backfired. It didn't work. It's like this is a new example, a teaching moment for political consultants. Don't do that. Don't Don't listen to Hollywood celebrities. Don't trust the media. It's not going to work. It failed spectacularly. Doesn't matter what Kamala Harris, doesn't matter what Joy Reid says. Or here's my second favorite, Jonathan Capehart, another just pathetic, far left voice. He's everywhere. He's in the Washington Post. He's the one that did the interview where Hugh Hewitt quit live on the air. He's also on MSNBC. He's the first one to sit down with Dougie Emhoff and tell him he's a model of masculinity. Jonathan Capehart, he has a unique assessment of this campaign. He decided that democracy, that voters who turned out in record numbers, let me get the latest number for Trump, 73 million. He's out right now, 73 million and counting. People turned out, young people, again, African Americans, Hispanics, Jewish, you name it. People waited in lines. People in Western North Carolina walked for miles to vote for Trump. He decided those people, they don't care about democracy. You go, you vote, your guy wins. That means you don't care about democracy. Another huge fail on the part of the Democrats, on the part of Kamala Harris. The tactic, the strategy they used for the last 2 years, calling Trump a threat to democracy. You know what the flaw with that was? No one even knew what it meant. People literally on election night said democracy's on the ballot. Democracy is a big concern with the voters. No one explained. I watched pretty closely. No one ever explained what that meant. What does that mean? Trump won the election. Trump takes office. He spends 4 years. He leaves. Where's the threat to democracy? Oh, January 6th. People are just so tired of January 6th. They don't care about January. It's not a concern. They can't afford their groceries, their rent. They can't buy a house. And you're telling them we might lose our democracy? And they never really explained what the hell that meant. Trump talked about the border. They know what that means. He talked about inflation. They sure as hell know what that means. He talked about ending wars. They understand what that means. Can anybody explain to me? Anybody on the chat line? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Glorilla. She marched out Glorilla and thought that would help her campaign. But does anyone know, seriously, what do they mean? Trump's a threat to democracy. Are we going to see right now, as Stephen Colbert said, that people don't care about, the voters don't care about democracy? Why the hell did they vote? They elected their guy. They have their reasons. One of them was not threat to democracy. It failed. Again, another lesson going forward. Don't call your opponent Hitler. Don't call your opponent a fascist. People aren't going to believe you. All right, we got so much more to get to. The lawfare is already beginning in New York State. Yes, Letitia James says she's ready to continue her effort to use the legal system to go after Donald Trump. And Maura Healey, governor of Massachusetts, radical left-wing governor of Massachusetts, says she's not going to cooperate when the Trump campaign tries to kick the illegal alien rapists on Nantucket, tries to kick them out of the country. She will stop them. Yes, that's what you voted for, Massachusetts. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
Do you wake up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, or ringing in your ears from grinding and clenching your teeth at night? I've been through this. It's fairly common, and dentists charge $600 for a bruxism night guard. Many people are now discovering the Brux Night Guard. Unlike regular night guards that go all the way to the back of the teeth, Brux Night Guard only covers the front teeth. This unique design is what sets Brux Night Guard apart from all other guards. It only covers the front teeth, so the bite force is directed away from the back, where many people grind and clench to help reduce jaw pain and still protect the teeth. You mold it at home to the top and bottom teeth. And unlike other guards, it is made in America and uses 2 materials for added durability. Order a Brux Night Guard today and use the code MAX22 to get 10% off plus free shipping. Go to bruxnightguard.com and enter the code word MAX22. Oh, good. You got Jonathan Capehart. Good. I just spent 10 minutes talking about him, and now you actually have it. Great job, Ironhead. Let's listen. I told you what he had to say. Here is Jonathan Capehart on a panel of experts explaining how, for some reason, the voters who went to vote don't care about democracy.
To elections with a sense of humility, simply because, polls don't vote, people vote. And so in elections, we finally get to hear what the American people have to say. And I've come to this election with an open mind, and I want to know what the American people have to say. What was it, 6 hours ago, I was mystified by what was going on. And now I can't help but think that if this election if it proves out that the millions of people who are watching Fox News, if that ends up being the case, then I can't help but wonder if the American people have given up on democracy simply because of what he's told us, what he wants to do, simply because of what the Supreme Court decided in terms of immunity. I mean, he has said he wants to go after his political enemies.
It's not working, Jonathan. It failed. You failed. It didn't work. People don't care about democracy, he says, after they vote in record numbers for their guy. Your girl, she lost. That is democracy, you fool, you buffoon. Those are our betters. That's our elite class. Telling you, he can't help but conclude they don't care about democracy. You mean they didn't fall for the dictator line? They don't believe he's a fascist? How is that possible? We told them that every freaking day for 2 years. What's wrong with you people? Don't you believe us? You know what the answer to that is, Jonathan? No, they don't believe you. They don't. They laugh at you. You're a clown. You're a fool. And you don't matter anymore. That is just glorious. All right, we got to move. Do we have time for Joe Scarborough? We got to get to this. This could be the best explanation of why these people whiffed so badly, why they don't understand the electorate. They don't understand the voters. They don't know what's going on out there. They told you every day about Trump, the Nazi, Trump, the fascist, Trump, the dictator. They lied to you. They told you she was a great candidate. They told you Joe Biden was tip-top. He was sharp as a tack for 3.5 years. And then they said, maybe she's a better candidate. Yes, she is. She is the least popular VP in modern history. She's a great candidate. You must support her because he's a threat to democracy. And Joe Scarborough, after the election, it just dawned on him. Maybe people are having trouble paying for groceries. Maybe when people go to a restaurant and buy a $28 cheeseburger, maybe that opened their eyes. And they said, this isn't working. We need to go back to the other guy who kept prices down, who closed the border. Maybe we should go back to that guy. That's what they did. And Scarborough, he's just noticing now that prices are a little high for the average American. Go ahead.
I want to talk about economy for a second. A few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, somebody who was going to be voting for Kamala Harris came up to me and said, "Oh my God, Trump's going to win." I go, "Why is that?" He goes, I went to the grocery store. Butter's over $3. I kind of laughed and I said, "Well, that's kind of reductive, isn't it?" Said it to myself. To him, I smiled and I said, "Good point." But it actually, what everything we're hearing after the election is,
I'm just saying,
is
the $7.
What's that?
The $7.
What's that? Butter is $7?
Yeah.
What? Is it framed in gold? Okay. Anyway,
where you go. But
okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, my point is this, Willie. The rent is too damn high, and this guy was saying the cost of butter is way damn too high.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was a bit reductive. It ended up being just the point that if you look at the cost of groceries, if you look at the cost of gas, if you look at the cost of things compared to 4 years ago, it was a very simple answer for working class Americans. Things just cost too much.
yeah.
Wow. Joe Scott was just noticing things cost too much after the election. That is perfect. Hang that in the Louvre. That is the definition of an out-of-touch elitist. And you know who feels the same way he does? Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, Bruce Springsteen. None of the people who took the stage with Kamala Harris give a damn about inflation. None of the people give a damn about crime in the inner city or an open border or a war 5,000 miles. They don't care. It doesn't affect them. They operate on emotion. And Trump made them feel icky. He's mean. She seems nice. She smiles. She talks about dreams and aspirations. She grew up in the middle class. She makes me feel better. He makes me feel sad. So they supported her. They're morons. They're empty heads. That's what we're dealing with right here. Empty skulls who make $20 million a year to lie to you. That's what we're dealing with. That's what he is. And that is the best explanation of what happened Tuesday I think I've ever heard. You mean butter's $3 a gallon, $3 whatever, a box, a pound, and his wife says, no, it's $7. He goes, what? Is it in gold? Maybe you should have noticed the price of butter, I don't know, a month ago, 3 months ago, a year ago. Maybe you should have looked into it. Why was inflation so bad? Oh, I don't know, because of all the spending where Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote to squander $7 trillion to print more money, driving up costs that affect most Americans. Not you, you goofy bastard.
I didn't know his life was so good. He had no idea how much groceries cost.
Of course not. You think he stepped foot in a grocery store? You think he cares about the cost of anything? I mean, do you think he cares about the cost of whatever his next Mercedes? He doesn't give a damn. Guy makes like $20 million a year, and he's a moron, and he's a phony. He's just pretending. They were good buddies with Trump until one day he made fun of Mika, and they decided to devote their life to stopping Trump. That's what they did. These are just contemptible elitist frauds, and we all know that now. It's over. You're done. You're done. Go to the grocery store, Joe. See what things cost you. Maybe then you'll understand what happened on Tuesday. Well, one thing we're looking forward to, at least I am, the mass deportations. Here's another miscalculation from Democrats and the media. They think people don't want to deport criminal aliens. They think people look at what's happened, like in New York City, where they're spending $1 billion a year. No, $10 billion a year. In Massachusetts, where they're spending $1 billion a year to house and feed and transport illegal aliens. And they think people are like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want to kick them. I want them in my neighborhood. Here's Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, a radical leftist who's done her best to destroy the state, who made it a sanctuary state, and now we're paying the price. Communities are overrun with illegal aliens. They're living in Logan Airport. It's costing a fortune. You know what else would be a good first step for a Trump administration? Stop the handouts. Stop the appeal to coming here. If they don't give them hotel rooms and money and culturally appropriate meals, maybe they'll stop coming. There's an idea. Just stop making it so attractive to illegal aliens. Maybe they'll self-deport. I don't know, not all of them. Maybe, I don't know, a few million. We'll say, you mean I don't get a free hotel room? You're not going to drive me to the store and pay for my groceries? Maybe I'll go home. There's an idea. But here's the governor of Massachusetts vowing to not cooperate with the Trump administration when they try to remove illegal alien rapists from Nantucket. Watch this.
If the Trump administration requests it, would the Massachusetts State Police assist in mass deportations?
No, absolutely not. But, let me say this. I do think it's important that we all recognize that there's going to be a lot of pressure on states and state officials. And I can assure you, we're going to work really hard to deliver. Some realities also need to be, noted. And that is, in 2016, we had a very different situation in the courts. And while I'm sure there may be litigation ahead, there's a lot of other ways that people are going to act and need to act for the sake of their states and their residents. There's regulatory authority and executive powers and the like. There's legislation also within our states. So I think that the key here is that every tool in the toolbox has got to be used to protect our citizens, to protect our residents, and protect our states, and certainly to hold the line on democracy and the rule of law as a basic principle, right?
She said she wants to protect our residents. Our residents? You mean the people in these Healy hotels who are just here for a free ride? She wants to protect democracy by making sure the federal government doesn't remove criminals, illegal alien criminals, from the community. That's what you voted for, Massachusetts. That right there is what you want. It's going to continue, and it's going to be hard to feel sorry for the people of Massachusetts or New York or Chicago. You voted for this. You want the illegal aliens in your community. If, a 7-year-old kid gets raped like happened on Nantucket this summer, hey, that's the price of democracy, according to Maura Healey. Massachusetts is so lost, just hopeless. It is hopeless. We are done. We're never going to wake up. It's going to continue, and it's not going to be good. They're going to come here. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? It's the place to come. If you're an illegal alien and you're a criminal and you're a gang member, why wouldn't you? The governor just said she will protect you from the Trump administration. That's where we're at. That's the state of this state.
The thing that's crazy is if you look at the voting demographics, comments like that don't even matter to anybody that they thought it did.
I mean, they elected Liz Warren in a landslide. They elected Ayanna Pressley. The people who want open borders, who want criminal aliens in their community, won. They voted for them in big numbers. They still hate Trump, even though Trump's going to try to protect them. He's going to have to fight the governor in court. Hell, arrest her. It's not her jurisdiction. The immigration is a federal issue. I hope we have a showdown between the Trump administration and the state of Massachusetts. That will be wild, and I know who most decent people will be rooting for. Again, that's what Trump meant when he says going to protect you whether you like it or not. He's going to close the border. He's going to kick out the criminals whether you like it or not. All right. That will do it for today. Day one of a whole new world. Oh, by the way, I'm looking forward to the Trump administration for many, many reasons. Again, Elon Musk, the whole new way of operating things. I'm looking forward to Christopher Wray being fired, Mayorkas being arrested, hopefully. You know what else is going to be great? We have our 250th celebration, 250th anniversary of the founding of this country coming up in 2026. Trump's going to lead the effort. It's going to be glorious. It's going to be patriotic. There's going to be parades and celebrations and fireworks, and the Dems are going to hate it. Joy Reid and Jimmy Kimmel, they're going to cry again, but it's going to be Trump leading the way, leading the parade, and it's going to be a wonderful celebration of this country, which they're going to hate because they hate this country. But
he's got that. He's also got the World Cup, and he's also got the Olympics.
The Olympics in 2028 before he leaves office and hands the reins to J.D. Vance. I can't wait. That's another one. J.D. Vance is going to be a great vice president. And the best part, we are never going to have to look at the creepy weirdo, Tim Walz again. Never again. He's done. She's done. Neither of them is ever going to run for national office again. They have been dispatched to the ash heap of history, which is just wonderful. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
But I'm going to go to bed.